Anak Krakatau is at it again. You all know the name Krakatoa. Now the child of Krakatoa in the Krakatoa crater, Anak Krakatau, has 6 eruptions in less than 10 hours, and intensity has increased again. We're dealing with Krakatau for quite a while now, and I said we have to watch out for any increased activity, and that should get our attention right now. What is happening? This is not just one small puff from a crater and then silence. This is something that is intensifying. And why is that so important? I'll have to tell you this very, very quickly. I mean, you probably know the name Krakatoa. In October 1883, the volcanic island of Krakatoa, located in the Sunda Strait, at that time part of the Dutch East Indies, modern-day Indonesia, began erupting, lasting, listen to this, more than 5 months. And then on August 27, the island had its most significant eruption, which has destroyed over 70% of the island and the surrounding archipelago. Basically, the island did collapse into the caldera. So this had a volcanic activity index estimated of 6, and it's one of the most unaliving, as we have to say here on YouTube, sorry, and most destructive, scary volcanic events ever recorded in history. The third explosion of that day reminds the loudest known sound in history. This is the location of what we're dealing with right now. That explosion that it did in 1883 was heard 3,110 kilometers. Guys, that's almost 2,000 miles away in Perth, Western Australia, and Rodrigues near Mauritius. 4,800 kilometers, that's 3,000 miles away. The acoustic pressure wave basically has circled, and listen to this, around the globe more than 3 times, and at least over 36,000 people were lost, and it created massive tsunamis. And also, what I want to say, so that you understand really the magnitude of what that is, they also called that 1883 Krakatoa eruption a year of blue moons. It had the explosive force of a 200 megaton bomb. And it, aside from the people that were lost, it was cooling the entire Earth everywhere by an average of 0.6 degrees Celsius for a month to come. And that was the most unaliving eruption in modern history, second only to the eruption of Tambora in 1815, which has ended over 60,000 people. But effects felt all over the globe, and even seemed to reach that far into the stratosphere, making the moon appear blue at night. It has released sulfur dioxide and other particles such as volcanic ash into the air, and they have filtered the colors of the sunlight that has reached the Earth. You might understand why we're looking at Anak Krakatau, the child of Krakatoa, because this is developing again inside that crater. July 8th, but even before, you have probably seen my last 2 videos about it. But especially July 8th, it has fired again and again from the summit area. First eruption just after midnight, visibility was poor, so the ash column could not be seen clearly, but now we have new satellite images. Instrument also caught that blast. Seismograph recorded a volcanic signal with a maximum amplitude of 24 millimeters and a duration of about 40 seconds. But then, guys, the volcano kept going. At 5:50 in the morning, gray to black ash rose about 250 meters above the summit. That's 820 feet. Eruption lasted 44 seconds. Maximum amplitude reached 26.1 millimeters. At 7:11 in the morning, another ash column rose about the same height, drifted northwest. This time, seismic signal was stronger, 44.4 millimeters. Then another one, 8:42, then 9:35, then 9:54. 6 eruptive pulses in less than 10 hours. That is escalation. It definitely is. And the important part is not only the number of eruptions that we have to look at. It is what was happening before and during them. The volcano was showing intense volcanic tremor. I'm not talking about tectonic tremor. Tremor means the system is vibrating. If you have a water pipe and you start opening the water so that it can flush through the pipe, you feel that it's vibrating. So we're not talking about a single crack. It's not one isolated earthquake. It's a sustained volcanic signal that we've been seeing here at Anak Krakatau for quite some time. It's often linked to gas, magma, and pressure that's moving through the system. That's why we call this volcanic plumbing system. And it was also not quiet between these eruptions. It was charging, shaking, venting, and releasing ash. Activity continued then into July 9th and into July 10th and into today. Darwin VEAC detected volcanic ash in satellite imagery from Himawari 9 satellite. One advisory placed ash as high as flight level 050. That's around 15,000 feet or 4,600 meters. So that's significant. Later advisories showed continuing ash. They're at a little bit of lower altitude, flight level 030 at about 3,000 feet or 900 meters above sea level, drifting mainly southwest. So now we have two pictures at the same time, right? From the ground, they have reported lower plume heights above the summit, tens to hundreds of meters to feet. From aviation monitoring, satellite data showed ash spreading at altitude over the strait. So that does not mean one side is lying, actually. It means different systems are measuring different parts of the ash cloud also at different times, right? It's very, very flexible. Ground observer may report what is visible over the crater. Satellite advisory may detect the ash cloud after it spreads and drifts away from the volcano. But here comes the but, the result. The result is clear enough. Anak Krakatau is still erupting. Boof, there it is. The volcano is still at alert level 3 out of 4. They call that Siaga level. Level 3 is the second highest level in Indonesia's 4-level volcanic alert system. Of course, yeah, it's not the highest level, but the highest level is basically fizzy's hitting the fizzy right now, right? So it means the volcano has entered a more serious phase. That's what it definitely means, with increased eruptive activity and a higher danger around the crater. So exclusion zone is now 3 kilometers, almost 2 miles from the active crater. And that restriction, guys, that is not decoration. This is really, they mean it. People, tourists, fishermen, and boats are being told to stay away because the danger near the island can change fast. Anak Krakatau sits in the Sunda Strait, basically between Sumatra and Java. To the west is Sumatra, to the east is Java. To the north and south, we have busy waters, we have to say. We have fishing areas, we have coastal towns, and we have shipping routes. So unfortunately, this is not a volcano in the middle of nowhere, we have to say. It's an island volcano. The island is the volcano, right? Inside one of the most dangerous volcanic corridors on Earth. So the tectonics there are, of course, the reason that exists. South of Java and Sumatra, right? Indo-Australian plate is being forced beneath the Sunda plate along the Sunda subduction zone. That plate boundary, we do know that, produces earthquakes, deep magma generation, and the volcanic arc, basically, that runs through Indonesia. Krakatau is part of that volcanic arc, right? Same tectonic engine that feeds volcanoes across Indonesia has also created the Krakatau system, Pacific Ring of Fire. But Krakatau has a danger profile, we have to say, that most volcanoes do not have. It sits in water. That is an important point, because if a volcano erupts on land, the main threats are ashfall, lava flows, pyroclastic flows, volcanic bombs, gas, and lahars, as if that was not enough. But of course, Anak Krakatau has all of that. But because it's an island volcano, it's another danger. Slope failure into the sea. So with this eruption, the cone keeps building, but it's unstable. This is just volcanic material that keeps building, right? So it can collapse at one point, and we know what happens if a lot of material gets displaced into water. Tsunami. So that's the nightmare scenario that did not just happen in the 1800s. It happened in 2018, December 22nd, 2018, Anak Krakatau collapsed. Part of the southwestern flank failed also during an eruption and crashed into the sea. So that landslide displaced water and sent a tsunami through the Sunda Strait. So there was no giant tectonic earthquake first. So no warning, no shaking, nobody felt anything. So no classic earthquake warning, no long countdown, tsunami will arrive in X amount of time. Tsunami was triggered by the volcano itself, by the flank collapse, pushing water outwards. That's the danger with Etna in Sicily. So more than 400 people were ended in 2018. Thousands were injured. Coastal communities on Java and Sumatra were hit, unfortunately, at night during a holiday period when many people were close to the water, unfortunately. And this is why I find, and everyone, the scientists also, Anak Krakatau gets a lot of attention when its activity climbs, and it's doing that right now. So we're not fearing only that tall ash column. The fear is the combination. The ash column is telling us something, right? Eruption, instability, collapse, water displacement, tsunami. That domino effect, right? So that does not mean, guys, I'm not saying the current eruption will end up in something like 2018. That point has to be clear. The cone that we're dealing with right now is much lower today than it was before 2018. But the volcano lost a large part of its height during that event, right? That lowers right now, because it hasn't built up that high yet, that lowers the chance of the exact same kind of massive flank collapse happening right now. But again, lower risk does not mean no risk. And the mountain is still erupting from an island in a narrow strait, still producing that, still generating the volcanic tremor, still showing hybrid and low frequency signals. And that's why the official alert level remains 3. We have today's report. It shows the volcano. Ash was visible at times and partly covered in fog. Crater smoke was detected as white, gray, and black. Intensity ranged from thick to thin. Height was about up to 250 meters above the summit. That's 820 feet. The color matters, right? White is mostly steam. Gray means ash is mixing in, but black means denser ash, fresh, fragmented rock, and stronger explosive bursts, which we're having right now. A volcano can steam for a long time without erupting strongly. But when white turns to gray and then gray turns to black, the system is no longer just breathing out gas. It is blasting. It is blasting material from the crater. And the seismic data that we're getting is backing that up. 5 eruption earthquakes, 10 emission events, 2 harmonic tremor events, 1 low frequency event, 13 hybrid or multi-phase events, 1 shallow volcanic earthquake, 4 continuous tremor signals. That's the pattern of an active shallow system. Hybrid events, they point to cracking and fluid movement. Low frequency events tell us that gas, magma, or pressurized fluids are moving inside the volcanoes. Harmonic tremor means sustained resonance inside the whole system. Continuous tremor means the volcano is not fully settling down between the bursts. So that's why these 6 eruptions matter, right? They're part of a bigger chain. First, alert level was raised. Then the eruptions continued. Then ash appeared, still kept appearing on satellite imagery, right? Then the tremor and the hybrid activity kept showing the system was still pressurized. Then ash emissions continued through July 10th with color changes. That's escalation. That's not one explosion. That's a sequence. So I will keep you updated on this. I will watch it for you, what it's doing in the next few hours or days. And if there's something significant, of course, I will alert you. But if you want to see something else, guys, and that's really interesting, the subduction zone at the Cascadia Fault, it already sank 3 miles, not the whole one. It's breaking apart. So does that mean Shizzy's hitting the fizzy there faster, or is it dying? Is the risk getting lower? It's something else, guys. You have to watch this because this is affecting the big one, the Cascadia Fault subduction earthquake with a tsunami only 9 to 15 minutes later that will hit the west coast. So watch this. Fascinating. Now they have this on camera, how a massive slab is actually breaking apart. Here in the end screen, I see you there.